Hello there, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Folks, the Republicans are reviving the old arguments, the back to work issues related with the $400 a week unemployment benefits. One of the big concerns for Republicans is that if individuals are paid more on unemployment, they'll have no incentive to go back to work, and employers will find it hard to get people back to work. I'll be covering that and I'll tell you what is likely to happen because there's some important information, some important new news to uncover there. And I'll show you a rather embarrassing and a rather unusual incident involving the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and the number one Republican Congresswoman in the House of Representatives. And I'm also going to show you one additional news clip from C-SPAN, which is actually going to make you go, what? Because it shows an open disagreement on live TV between the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, a Republican, and the number one Republican Congresswoman in the House of Representatives. Let's just jump right in. As you can see, CNBC is reporting the Republicans' concerns with the $400 a week unemployment boost on top of state benefits that is scheduled to last until the end of August in the latest version of the American Rescue Plan that is expected to pass the House this Friday. We expect some amendments in the Senate, potentially even being extended until the end of September. But the number one concern the Republicans have is the effect that it'll have on jobs. The Republicans feel that this is going to be a disincentive for people to get back to work, but some economists believe that, hey, the economy hasn't improved to such an extent that it's going to be a disincentive. In other words, there are no jobs out there, so therefore this is something that's needed for people. Now, we have covered this on our channel. Individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality have been impacted. So there are those who have lost their jobs, in many cases permanently, and are dependent on these unemployment benefits. Let's start with some concerns from Congressman Jason Smith from Missouri, who's a ranking member of the Budget Committee. He said this about the Biden stimulus plan. He said this is the wrong plan for America's working class. Now, speaking of working class, let's take a look at this chart on your screen, which shows you the total US unemployment, and take a look at the gray section on the left side. That represents the 2008 Great Recession. And take a look at the section on the right side, the gray section, the gray part of the chart, that represents the massive impact of the pandemic. And what's alarming is that although there's been a sharp rebound, it has not come back to where we were prior to the pandemic. That's number one. And number two, it's actually starting to taper off in the past several weeks. Now, here's an interesting comment from Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who's a Republican from the state of Colorado. She said that the outlay, spending all of this money, which according to the Congressional Budget Office is projected to be $246 billion in spending on unemployment benefits through the end of August. Congresswoman Boebert said this will lead workers to, I quote, sit on the couch at home through August. Let me ask you a question. If you're dependent on unemployment benefits and you need this money to pay your bills, to be able to make rent, to be able to keep the lights on, all you want to do is put food on the table for your family. Is your goal to depend on this for some period of time until you can get back on your feet? Or is your goal to, I quote Congresswoman Boebert, sit on the couch at home through August? And the entire argument that people would be sitting at home on their couch, watching TV or playing video games instead of looking for a job, assumes that there are jobs to begin with. This is the main thing that I believe that most Republicans don't understand. Here's a comment from Julia Lane, who's an economist and professor at New York University. There's no point in actively looking for work if there are no jobs. The notion of a disincentive effect assumes that there are jobs available. In fact, jobs have to return. In other words, people have to be able to get back to their job or have a job to get back to, and then they'll have a disincentive if their unemployment benefits are greater. If there is no job to begin with, how can there be a disincentive? How can certain individuals like Congresswoman Boebert and others that criticize the $400 a week talk about a solution to a problem we don't have? There have been many studies conducted about the $400 a week, about the $600 a week, that have actually proven that individuals want to get back to work. This is not a disincentive. This is meant to be a temporary crutch for individuals who've never had to depend on the government before. Folks, many of us don't even want to depend on the government for unemployment benefits. I've received messages, I've received comments on our channel from individuals who have been forced to depend on unemployment benefits for the first time in their lives To some extent, it's embarrassing. To some extent, it's humiliating. But at the same time, you're a customer, if you will, of the state unemployment system. So you deserve those benefits. You're entitled to get them. But there are very few individuals who want to continue depending on unemployment benefits. In fact, let's take a look at what Julia Lane said. So a preliminary analysis conducted by Julia Lane, again, she's an economist and professor at New York University. A preliminary analysis conducted by her and many other economists suggested that jobs have not returned to a point that is likely to provide a work disincentive. Again, jobs have to return to a certain level. They have to return to a certain scale, back to a certain threshold. And you did see that chart earlier where I essentially showed you the unemployment rate. Let's put that chart up again on your screen. The jobs simply haven't returned, as you can see. In fact, let's show you another chart with the monthly job growth. And as you can see, the monthly job growth declined significantly. In fact, it was upside down when the pandemic started. Then we had a quick little rebound. And now job growth has not only tapered, but it's sort of starting to go negative right now. So you can start to see that things are not where they should be. In fact, where are the jobs? And Julia Lane says, right now the disincentive is not empirically evident at scale, meaning there really aren't enough jobs for people to go back to, for lawmakers to claim disincentives. Lane also said a whole lot of work has vanished. Now there are jobs, but the jobs are largely for people who work from home or for frontline jobs in which they can get exposed to the pandemic. Individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality don't have the luxury of working from home in most cases, and also work in certain industries like the travel and the hotel industry is still well below pre-pandemic levels, and employment in leisure and hospitality is down by 4 million jobs, or almost 23%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Here's a brand new news release that we will provide you with the link to the release in the description section below, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that shows the disproportionate nature of the job loss. In fact, right now, there are over 10 million individuals looking for jobs that no longer exist, because 10 million jobs have been wiped away as a direct result of this pandemic and have not come back. We're talking about 10 million fewer jobs in the United States of America. And what's even more alarming is that some jobs are coming back and some jobs are actually being lost in real time. Here's a chart that shows you the January job 1 month change. You can see that jobs have come back in certain sectors where individuals can work from home. Look at the professional and business services sector, government, information. These are individuals who can work from home. But look at the bottom: leisure and hospitality, healthcare and social assistance, retail trade, transportation and warehousing, manufacturing, construction. These jobs are lost, and these jobs are being lost as some states go through some shutdowns. Now, we are gradually opening up, which is a good thing, but the disproportionate nature of this pandemic warrants the case for unemployment benefits for those who need it the most. Last year, when the $600 week expired, former President Trump stepped in with the $400 week lost wages assistance program. Most people only got $300 a week. And speaking of former President Trump, he still has a strong role in the Republican Party. He's not going anywhere. In fact, one of his nemesis, the Republican Senator Mitt Romney, said this. You'll see this article from Bloomberg. Romney says Trump would win the 2024 Republican nomination if he runs. And Mitt Romney said, and I quote, "He has by far the largest voice and a big impact in my party." I don't know if he's planning to run in 2024 or not, but if he does, I'm pretty sure he would win the nomination. And speaking of former President Trump, he's going to be speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Orlando, Florida this weekend. It starts Thursday and it ends on Sunday. Now, here's what's interesting. Two top Republicans were asked about former President Trump speaking at this conference, and the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said, yes, he should. And Liz Cheney, the number one congresswoman, the number one Republican congresswoman from Wyoming, said this, I quote, "It's up to CPAC. I've been clear on my views about President Trump and the extent to which, following January 6th, I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party or the country." And then you have to wait and see what Kevin McCarthy said in response to that. You have to see this to believe it. Let's roll the tape.
Just very briefly, for you and the leadership, especially Congresswoman Cheney, do you believe President Trump should be speaking, or former President Trump should be speaking at CPAC this weekend?
Yes, he should.
Congresswoman Cheney?
That's up to CPAC. I've been clear in my views about President Trump and the extent to which following January 6th, I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party or the country.
On that high note, thank you all very much.
Boy, oh boy, what a way to end this video. Open contradictions amongst Republicans. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. That's one little action on your part that makes a big difference to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.